I've really been on like running. Now I'm into lifting to supplement it. But for me, I need aggressive workouts during this time, especially being single, because I need aggressive workouts.
Look,
I need aggressive workouts.
That felt like a plug. I don't know who's watching this right now.
Listen, I know I ain't the only one.
We got a hell of a eligible woman over here.
Listen,
very successful. Got herself together. She's got an amazing community. If you can, add some value into this young lady's life, drop a comment.
Right, drop a comment.
Shoot your shot, put a DM, whatever you need. I'm just talking directly in the camera, but, that was a cue.
I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you.
All right, y'all. Well, welcome. We got another episode of World's Greatest Game. I'm joined by a good friend of mine over the last couple years who I have tremendous respect for.
Thank you.
Evita, coming all the way in from Jersey.
Yes.
I would give you the New York, but you proud Jersey. So
yeah, I'm about a 5-year into it Jersey recruit. I still rep New York. New York is home.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Now, I want you to fully introduce yourself. Like, where are you from?
Yeah.
The whole nine, because there's so much more that I actually want to learn about.
Yeah.
You that I'm going to get into today.
I can imagine, because even though we've known each other for a while now, it's funny, there is a lot that like we haven't covered.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm the founder and creator of NoMadness Travel Tribe, an international community of over 26,000 travelers of color. And also the founder of our Activation Audacity Fest, which is a festival for our community as well. I'm the chick that holds the travel industry accountable for their shit.
There it is.
That's what it is. When it comes to like the Black, Indigenous, people of color, like the BIPOC community, I'm all about how are we represented? What does the marketing look like? What type of budgets are we getting for the activations that we have? Who are the influencers and the thought leaders and community organizers that you're rocking with? What does that look like? Because the industry, as is the case with many, is very white, male washed. And so it's been like that for the last 10 years. I started NoMadness in September of 2011. Wow. And to see now where we are, we turned 10 in September.
Wow, congratulations
which is crazy.
On that. That's massive.
Crazy. I'm just like, what is this? But it's been an amazing experience, being around the world, creating experiences with folks. But I think for me, New York native, originally from Poughkeepsie, New York, born in Albany, grew up in Poughkeepsie.
That's right around
I
where
know.
West Point. Okay, I know Poughkeepsie.
I know West Point.
Okay.
I used to compete in track at West Point.
I got in some trouble in Poughkeepsie, so there's that. There's that.
We're even.
There it is.
We're
yeah,
even.
We got all
yes,
that. Okay.
I have been at West Point. I know West Point well. And I went to school. I went to Iona College in New Rochelle, New York.
Okay.
And then moved to the Bronx for about 10 years while being a 3-time expat. Wow. So I have lived in Niigata, Japan. I've lived in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and I've lived
beautiful.
in Paris, France. And at this point, I'm at 37 countries that I've traveled to.
Flexing on them.
Listen, I'm just saying.
Well, I love it, and now that I've already gotten you warmed up, you got Sancerre, you made sure I got your wine ready.
I'm good.
I'm probably 2 or 3 tequilas in, so we're gonna jump right into.
Okay, Miss Gal.
Yeah. I'm trying something new today. Getting cultured. So I'd actually like to go back to a bit of the origin story when you're talking about the expat travel.
Yeah.
So what was that from? Was that a corporate job you were having? Was that startups, your own thing? Like where did that?
I'm a backpacker at heart.
Okay.
I'm on some gritty shit. I tell people I'm like pretty but gritty.
Oof.
Like that's really one
like
of the things that
hostel type.
Like I was in hostels. I was
Oh.
the movies that they make, in this land, in this La La Land that we're in right now. I was living that life.
Wow.
I refused to have lack of funds at that point in time be the reason why I wasn't going to travel around the world. It was just way too impactful in my life. And I think anybody who's been out of the country at least once understands that, right?
Yeah.
Like literally any place that you go to, even if you go just once, it has the ability to really transform your life and the way that you see life.
Yeah.
You know, when you come home, there's things that I take that stay with me from every country I've been to. You know, sometimes a lot of people pray before food. In my head, silently, I still say itadakimasu from Japan.
Wow.
Mainly because I can't with like my black family members in these like 50-minute long prayers.
Can you break
before
that
we
down
eat.
real quick?
Yeah, I'm like, itadakimasu, I receive, I get that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? There's things that I've taken around, but for me, it was about not letting finances be the thing that was gonna stop me,
Okay.
you know? And so right after college, I graduated in 2006.
Okay.
6 weeks after I graduated, I moved to Paris with the New York Film Academy, and I was doing filmmaking workshops out there.
Okay.
And there was about 100 of us that were in the whole program, between the actors and actresses and those that were in digital and 35 millimeter film. And I was in a digital filmmaking course.
Okay.
And it was in Paris where I just fell in love with the world. I showed up there about a week before my courses started with La Famille's film school, really well known in Montmartre in Paris.
Yeah.
And I backpacked by myself to Amsterdam.
Wow.
Because
No fear.
No fear, more so I didn't know what I was about to get into.
Okay.
And I didn't want no stories following me home from nobody that was with me.
Wow.
I was just like, I don't know. I know what Amsterdam's known for, and I don't know how thick into this I'm gonna get.
You know how deep you were gonna go.
Right.
Okay.
I didn't know how deep I was gonna go. New college graduate, you know, we out here. So I went by myself the first time to experience that. And I mean, when you go to, especially Western Europe, you have access to so many other places. And I think coming out, it was an interesting time that I was there because it was right when Bush got elected for the second time.
Yeah.
And the conversations that I was having with these people that were a part of this program from all around the world, Pakistan, Milan, India, you know, all over the place, was how the hell did y'all allow him to get in office again?
Yeah.
You know, and
I was
and for
traveling during that one. It wasn't the
Listen,
best time.
It was crazy. And what I realized for me was I started to take this defense of, oh, yeah, I'm American, but I'm from New York.
Yeah.
There started to be this differentiation
Yeah.
of New York and it being a progressive and a blue state versus like what America had done in totality. And unfortunately, I've had to pull that card a couple times when you see what's happened over the last, 15 years, with our history. And so for me, it was about going out and just, experiencing the world. And so I was able to bridge that with my art and my love for film and television. A lot of people don't know. I didn't go to school for business. I went to school for television and video production.
Wow.
So that's always been a part of my, the ethos of what I do, whether it was our web series with Issa Rae. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like that's always been a part, even now, pitching shows and,
Storyteller.
having reps.
You're a storyteller.
That's what it is for me.
Yeah.
And so being able to do that on a mass scale with my community as a part of it was like the game changer for me.
Yeah,
But I was a backpacker, bruh. Like sleeping on airport floors, had dengue fever, was getting home, backpacking between Cambodia and Thailand.
Yeah, we're not gonna probe on that one.
I was on some shit.
But what I do love, and I think that I think we can all appreciate, one is the fearlessness, right, and just the curiosity that you had to travel, but also I think as an American, as a proud patriot, right, and West Point grad, I have to thank you for helping to establish the reputation of America. Right?
I appreciate that.
I think what sometimes we overlook is the fact that, the folks that are bold enough, that are traveling, you guys are like the marketing vehicles of the country.
Yep.
And I think that's what was so powerful about the community that you've been able to build organically, right? And from a bootstrap capacity is, I see you guys, part of it is shaping the reputation of America or the variety of countries, because now it's a global organization, but really exposing people to what it actually is.
Yeah.
So my question for you on this is, where did that curiosity come from? Were you just naturally a curious person? Okay.
I've always been a curious child, and I've always had like an old soul.
Okay.
Something that my family has told me about, even just like stories that I've heard from the past. I've always been curious. I've always been drawn to the story of strangers.
Okay.
And that has looked like a lot of different things. It looks like what I've done with NoMadness and the conversations that we have when we're abroad in different places. I'm the one that's gonna like open up a beer or a wine and sit on the corner, of, the intersection of Fox Street in Maboneng neighborhood in Johannesburg, South Africa, and be like, yo, what are y'all doing out here tonight?
Yeah.
And I think that connectivity, that approachability, is something that allows everybody to open up. You know, it gets us back to our core.
Yeah.
I like understanding what makes people tick. You know, it's great to have all of these things and these accomplishments, and that's dope. But I'm more so interested in like the intrinsic attributes of a person and of their story and what made them who they are, right?
Okay.
What is it? What has been the triggers? What does your vulnerability look like? You know, what does your story sound like? To me, those are the real connective tissues that are the most valuable for me as a person.
How do you approach that then? Are you sharing first, right? Is that what goes, or is it the fact that you've already taken yourself away from quote unquote your home,
Right.
and you go into somebody else's home? Is that how you're then breaking down the barriers, right?
I create safe spaces.
Okay.
And that's what it looks like for me. And this is the thing. This is not something that I just do for NoMadness when we're out and about. I do this with my own friend circle.
Okay.
I am notoriously known for having powwows at the crib.
Yeah.
Very selective people that are actually sent private invites that can come over.
Yeah,
and
I haven't
literally
gotten one of those.
Listen, you have not, but
No.
now you in LA, so I don't know. We're gonna have to
I gotta reevaluate.
figure
our
out when you
friendship.
back on the East
Yeah.
Coast.
Yeah, I thought we were closer than that, but apparently
But
not.
I would send
Yeah.
these invites out, and literally when people would come to the door, my
Yeah.
apartment door, there would be an envelope taped to the door before you even get in. And there are questions that are in there, and you cannot look at the questions. You put your hand in, you pull a question. You do not know the stature, the hierarchy of the people that are in. You don't know how much money they're making. There are self-made multimillionaires that are in there. There are people that have worked with massive organizations that everybody knows, but I don't introduce the people that way. Everybody has their own respective question, and when we sit down and finally get to the point of introductions, you introduce yourself by answering that question. And so it breaks down this like barrier that we have of, oh, I know you because you've done XYZ. That's great. However, who are you for real though? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I curate this with my friends network and my family network at home, but then you see it on a mass scale when you look at like NoMadness with 26,000 people, and it's like, what type of experiences are we curating abroad? It's like, I always lead with that. The thing that I think makes me unique is that I'm not scared of vulnerability.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are. I'll cry anywhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because it's just, these are natural things. And I think there's so much stigma that comes across with them. And so when you look at building a community of the size and magnitude, but also of the connectedness that I have with NoMadness, some of this shit you can't teach. It's really just how you live your life and how you show up.
You know, one of the things I always get from you is you have this like infectious like confidence.
I hear that in so many
Yeah,
spaces, and I'm like, I'm glad y'all see that, because
No, I mean, but even in how you speak, right? Like, in the things that you're saying, you're not just a storyteller, right? You're a curator of experiences that you're talking about. But this confidence to go off, you know, to a place you've never been by yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And just go out and explore, and then just go up to complete strangers with language barriers and all these things. There's this fearlessness, right, and this confidence. And I'm like, again, like, you've always been that way, or did you have just really supportive parents and a family dynamic, or because there's usually a series of things that created the confidence in us, right? So some folks it's through sports, right, through academic achievement, right? There's a variety of things. Like, what's your journey on that one? What's your journey to confidence? Because confidence is different than like perfection. I don't think you don't have an arrogance, right? But you have this pure confidence and comfort with yourself, and with others, and you're seeking to pull it out. And I just want to know how you got there.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go deep. Look,
Listen,
we can fill you up if you need.
I ain't scared. No, this is if I have any more wine in this glass. Okay, series of events that have happened through life, right? I'm the oldest, which I think kind of comes across. People don't really get surprised when they hear that. And I had to grow up faster in certain capacities. Split family. My stepfather was amazing as a father, not as a husband. And I love him to this day. One of my favorite things about getting older is being able to talk with our parents as adults and as individuals, and to put all of the shit that happened when we were younger to the side and be like, yo, I understand that you were doing the best that you can with what you had at that time. And so there's these circumstances and things that I saw and things where I had to constantly rise to the occasion. But I think specifically in regards to NoMadness, I've been through shit with this community that people and even competitors in the space previously, they've never shown up in that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know about the Panama accident?
No.
Okay.
Look, school me. Go ahead. Look, I know nothing.
January 16th back in 2015.
Okay.
I'm still living in the Bronx at this point in time. I'm on my computer doing work in the living room, and all of a sudden I start getting these messages that are coming through on Facebook, and it's like, yo, E, there was an accident. Like, we need you. What's going on? And at this point in time, I'm like, okay, who's reaching out to me? I didn't recognize the name. I knew he was a part of NoMadness, but I didn't understand the name, and why is it coming through this channel? What's up? For some reason, there's an airline that would always have this like trip, this like sail to Panama City, Panama, the country. And it would happen MLK weekend. This was the second year that people in my group had kind of gotten together of their own accord. It wasn't a NoMadness trip. They had gotten together of their own accord and decided that they were going to go to Panama. We have this, and it's a hashtag that you can actually see online, the Panama 13.
Okay.
There was a day where they were going out into, I think they went to go visit like a zoo. They were going out about 45 minutes outside of Panama City. They had a van. 12 of my members were in there, and the 13th person was one of my members' sisters. On their way back, going to one of my members' family's house, who had like brought them in, curated dinner, which is how NoMadness gets down.
Okay.
They lost control of the van, and the van went over a cliff. Two of my members died, and one was in a coma for 6 months and still is on assisted living right now.
Oh my God.
So when this happened in 2015, I'm getting hit up. I had other people that I knew that were in Panama that were not with them when it happened that became my point people. And within 24 hours, myself and 2 members from my team flew to Panama City. Within 4 days, we had crowdfunded over $64,000 to pay for everybody's medical bills. We had garnered about over hundreds of thousands of flight miles within our community, in which we were able to bring family members in to both check on their loved ones and to, unfortunately, bring remains back home. I knew personally and had a very tight relationship with one of the members who had died, but I knew both of them, Neka and Nigel. And that was the most terrifying situation I had ever been in my life.
Yeah.
And these people were not just a part of NoMadness. They were a part of a number of groups that were a part of what we know now as the Black Travel Movement. But NoMadness showed up in Panama.
Yeah.
For 3 days, we went in and out of hospitals because we didn't realize at first that our members had been split up between various hospitals, private and public. We went into funeral homes looking to find out where our deceased members were. And I was in the waiting room with 2 of my members. One is somebody who formerly used to work with me, Callie, and another person who was in the accident, Nooney. We ended up in the emergency room waiting room as one of our members was literally rode past us with like no pulse, rushed upstairs. We didn't know what was gonna happen. Keenan, when I tell you I've been through shit with these people and I have shown up, right?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. It's one thing to talk about building a community. You need to know what type of leader you are.
Absolutely.
Are you going to be behind the scenes? And I have no problem with that. Are you going to be behind the scenes, or are you going to be in front of the scenes? Are you going to show up when shit gets crazy?
Yeah.
And you don't know how to deal with it, to be there for these people? And so we ended up getting, when we flew in, I said, I have a goal of in 1 week, everybody who can leave this country is out of here. And Jasmine Owens, one of our members, who had the most insane fucking injuries, a week after the accident, she was flown in. We had worked with her company got her an ambulance that met her at JFK, took her right to NYU Presbyterian, and she continued surgeries there. And for the following, 3 weeks, I attended funerals from Brooklyn, New York to Columbia, South Carolina. Nobody can tell me shit.
You know, well, when I hear these stories, right, to me, that's what, and this is, look, I'm a West Pointer. I got a lot of friends that have done a lot of deployments and time in the military. And one thing I've learned about great leaders, it's in these tough times of tragedy, right? Yeah. Like when shit really hits the fan, that character really shows up. And I think you've been able to display your character, and you can't manufacture that.
Yeah.
Right? You can't fake that. It is what it is, right? You're running a business, you're running all these things, right? And it's a company.
Yeah.
But you never once talk about it like that. You keep saying it's a community, right? And I think that shows your character. And it's just who you are at your core, right? You're a lover of people. That's what's driving your curiosity.
Yeah.
That's why it sounds like why you have so much confidence, because you're just looking at truth. You're just looking at the being, at the entity. It's not the business or the model. And I think that's what makes you a great entrepreneur, a great business leader, great CEO, a great friend, right? A great just person in general, because your character constantly shows up. And you hate that those moments happen, but that's life.
Yeah.
Right? And your character shined.
Yeah.
Right? And that character that you have, it's clear that it has been the driving force of your community, because it wasn't just you that showed up.
Yeah.
Your entire community showed up.
They all showed up, and we broke all the stereotypes that black people can't work together and can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just, I tell people, and I say this, and I mean it, I've seen the best in people and the worst of people in NoMadness, and definitely because in crisis, you had the people who wanted to be the hero. Yeah. So they wanted to be the first people to disseminate information. I have a golden rule. When anything happens with somebody in NoMadness, specifically if we're talking about a death, I don't say anything. Even if I have the information, my team is mum until we get permission from the family. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. How many times have you gone on social media and found out that somebody's passed? It's like, you would not want to hear about that.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
from social media. Yeah. It's literally baseline respect. But there were people that were trying to disseminate all of this information and then coming back into the community during this time. And I'm like, okay, first off, fuck y'all. Because you don't operate like this, okay? Like, just from a visceral human level, you don't do this. And so on top of it, it's like I flipped out on so many people that I still to this day don't have relationships with anymore, because I saw how they handled literally the most vulnerable moments. The other thing is, a number of people, again, the people that were a part of the Panama 13, they were in a number of groups. Yeah. Why the fuck was I the only one?
Well, that's your trait, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Well, you're a selfless leader, right? So not everybody gets that.
Yeah.
Right? That's a very, I hate to bring up the military all the time, but I think I learned a lot about leadership with the military, right? In my time at West Point. And what I realized is, things that they were teaching us was, to eat last.
Yeah.
Right? It's a small gesture, right? But it's to make sure that your platoon, your company, whatever it is cared for.
Right.
So you put their needs first. And I think you embody that in all facets. And it's clear because it's a non-starter. When you don't see people operate in that way, that's a deal breaker.
I'm a wrap.
Yeah, you're like,
I'm a wrap. And that even goes into my personal relationships.
Yeah.
If you don't, there is no help.
Yeah.
Everybody, matter of fact, you posted a freestyle today on your IG stories.
Oh, oof.
From, it wasn't you.
Oh. I was like, oh.
It was from,
started to think back, what the hell did I post?
The Los Angeles Leakers.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a point, what exactly did he say? He said something along the lines of like, I show respect to everybody, including the janitor, because somebody has to play their part in order for you not to fall back or you not to lose. Yeah. Listen, when I was a commencement speaker of my college graduation. Of course
you were.
I can't fucking shut up.
Yeah.
So but I was the commencement speaker, and it was crazy because when you look at the references that most people get when you apply to be the commencement speaker, like, I went to the janitors. I went to the people that so many folks just look past and over. But they are literally like at the core of our everyday, making sure that they keep stuff together. So when I got on stage at Madison Square Garden and gave this commencement speech, like, I wasn't just representing my graduating class, I was representing those people, because in those late nights where you're just pulling all-nighters, or you can't go to sleep, or you're just kicking it with the homies, we were downstairs like talking to these people and getting to know who they were. And so for me, it's like, it's always been that connectivity to the human being that's behind everything.
I mean, that's a superpower, right? That you have, and it's how you build organizations.
Yeah.
Right. That's how institutions are built.
Yeah.
You have to have this respect, right, or this connective thread, right, that combines every aspect of it, because you can't value one over the other.
Yeah.
Because then that creates dissension, right, within organizations. And so I think that's a superpower.
It's a superpower, but then also being in the realm of business and entrepreneurship, I also have to be mindful of where it can create blind spots. And I don't know yet. I'm still figuring a bit of that out. Like our conversation before this, like what, I wonder sometimes, but I have to I lead with who I am at all times. That's just it.
And I think that's what you should continue to do.
Yeah.
I think that's the answer, right? And this isn't for me to, I'm not giving any advice. I'm listening and sharing my perspective, but I think that's what's gotten you this far.
Yeah.
You continue to stick with it, right? And I don't think you're not a person that's going to chase models.
Yeah.
You're very much gut and heart led, right? And then you're just super smart, and you're coming up with these concepts and creating value, and that's the whole journey of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So I think you let that curiosity and that love continue to guide you, right, in what you're doing. So I think that leads to a natural question, right? You've built this community. Travel was halted, right, in the pandemic. Coming back, thank God, right, as people are now moving around. What are you looking for next, right? What are the things, what are the opportunities that you see, not just for yourself, because I do want you to share that, but also for your community, right, that you have intense love for, because it's coming out.
Yeah.
I'm feeling all of it. I'm like, I don't even know how I sign up, but I know I got to sign up and get in this group. And you've introduced me to some folks. But what is next? What are you looking at? What are you trying to do now?
We are being extremely intentional about where we go and diversifying that. Shouts out to Jessica Nabongo, first Black woman documented to have traveled to every country in the world.
Oh, yeah.
She's amazing.
I saw that Seychelles finale.
Yes.
Was crazy.
Jessica's amazing. And I spent some time with her when I was in Detroit. And one of the things that she pushes is like not just the diversification of who you see traveling in the marketing, but the diversification of where we go.
Okay.
And that is every time she says it, I'm like, Jessica, damn, like, there are so many places that we have not touched on. When you think about the places that everybody's traveling to, it's recognizable. You know what I'm saying? And NoMadness has always had a knack, and this is something I'm doubling down on. We've always had a knack to go to places before they pop.
Yeah.
And show folks. We were going to Bali before it became a remote work nomad haven.
Destination.
Yeah, it was like we were going there when nobody was going there. Johannesburg, I travel to Johannesburg at least once a year at this point, and it's like we were fucking with Johannesburg when nobody was going to Johannesburg because of its reputation.
It wasn't safe.
Now it's global citizens, it's Afropunk, it's every travel group on earth is going to Johannesburg. And so I am, and my team is really big on where are the spots that deserve the spotlight, have not yet got it, and how can we continue being the trailblazers in that regard for bringing places, especially on the continent of Africa.
What are you looking for? What are you looking for in these spots, right? When you found, and it's not like you were the founder of Johannesburg, right? But when you identified this place as somewhere where you wanted to go and take your community, what were you looking for?
We were looking for the story of resilience. So I'm going to be honest with you. One of the places that's on my radar right now is Rwanda.
Oh, yeah.
They're trying to get me out there for BAL. Yeah, but I'm going to be there before the end of the summer.
Yeah.
Rwanda is a story that I want to tell. because everybody knows about Hotel Rwanda, but they don't understand the story of the resilience and the entrepreneurship. I love seeing Black folks flourish in the arts and entrepreneurship. And that's what drew me to Johannesburg, was that there was this underbelly that was bubbling with just like the millennials and Gen Zers and Gen Xers that were just like, nah, B, like this disruption shit is not exclusive to America. We're out here doing this on the continent as well, and we're building out businesses. And I was like, I need to see what this looks like. And so that community, that story of resilience, just stories that haven't been told yet, period, is very important to me. Also, just the untapped. I am an Aries, A-type personality, risk taker.
That was a lot.
But those who know, know. Yeah. Okay,
I'm gonna have to Google some of
this
that
fire
later.
sign. Like, this is perfect. This is me.
Shout out to Luigi. Thanks,
this is vibes. And so I say that because I am not scared to go into the jungle first with the machete. I get a high off that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, let me go and literally use my person, my body, as the first to kind of go out and kind of scope the land and see what's up, you know, and then decide how we could curate this for an experience for NoMadness, or how we could amplify this for something that's like a media-based package to help get the word out about this destination. And so I'm really looking at telling those types of stories around the world, you know.
It's so that's so fascinating, right? Because there's such a trend now where everyone is traveling for
Instagram,
the perfect Instagram photo, right? And a lot of places are marketing themselves as that, right? So having the perfect cappuccino that you can take the perfect photo with, right, in the table, the golden bear sitting in the pool, or the random pig walking around the property that means absolutely nothing. And I think you're talking about traveling to places because of the people. And in this post-pandemic era, right now that we're moving into, where we were connectivity with one another was a bit lost. Right. And as we're yearning in, I see there's such an opportunity for you and your community, and just what you've naturally been doing to move that even further. Right. Because we want connections with people. Right. And you're naturally going out and you're scouting that first. You're scouting for people and stories of resilience. So I want to understand, because there's a thread, right? NoMadness is people of color in general, right? Focused predominantly Black. As you're going off and scouting, are there stories of resilience within the diaspora that you're looking for? Is that part of the thread as well?
Yes, and you know what I'm really personally interested in right now too? I want to tell more stories about indigenous folks. I've been talking to like Alaska and Hawaii, and for those who attended Audacity Digi 4 in January, or if you just go to my Instagram, you'll be able to find it, because it's one of the few panels I put up in totality with Havani from Havani Music, talking about just like sheer indigenous land. She straight up told everybody, Hawaii's fucking closed, bruh, because we can't take an outbreak from y'all because you want to go on vacation. Period.
There it is.
Okay? Your vacation can wait, because my people live here. And I'm going to tell you something, the indigenous stories from around the world, but even just in the States, First Nation, Native American, however you want to, identify, there are these Native and Aboriginal stories that have not been told as well. And honestly, I love it because I'm a student, because I don't know this shit either. You know what I'm saying? And I love places where I can be taught something and where I can learn something. And so indigenous stories is actually something that's in the forefront, paying attention to not just where we're going, but whose land is this? Whose land was this? What does that look like?
What's the real culture of the place?
Right. What's the story? And paying respect and paying homage. So as we go forth with like, one tier of being like NoMadness trips, we're really being intentional on that. We're also being intentional about who's there. The thing about NoMadness is our trips sell out in like a minute. And so many people will even get to the point of being frustrated because they've tried to get on multiple trips, and it's going to get a little bit harder, because now what we're doing is we're going to be implementing a pre-registration process. Because here's the thing, we've had people come on trips where it's like they get on because either they want to meet me and they know that I happen to be running that trip too with the staff, or they just want to get on a NoMadness trip because they've heard about them and, you know, this is the one that they happen to get on. We want to make sure that you are signing up for an experience that is aligned with the type of traveler you are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We can do something that's more high end in a Bermuda. We've had trips that were also off the beaten path in Samoa, Apia Samoa, to Fuafales, where you show up and literally you are on a hut on a beach and all you have is a mosquito net, a pillow, a mattress, and a lantern. That's it.
I need to do more of the glamping piece.
I mean, that's fine. We're all here for it.
But again, in all
You know,
seriousness,
you just sign up for what is real to you.
But I think what's great is like the experience that you're shaping. It's not just it's not a trip.
Right.
It's this
is true.
It's like a cultural learning experience.
It's an immersion.
Yeah, and I think something that I've gotten from you, because even as you've, you know, taken you have these experiences through travel, but then what I felt when you created your online community and that experience with Audacity Fest, it also felt like it was an immersion. Like I sat on and I know you had me on a panel, and I think I was like the least impactful person ever, but what was really cool is I stayed on to just learn so much from all these other people, and you had such a global experience, and I was immersed in culture the whole time, right? And for multiple days, how you capture people and what is going on, and I think it's just beautiful. So I want you to talk a little bit about Audacity Fest as well.
So when we were looking at Audacity Festival, knowing that we had to do a pivot into digital, right? I said to my team, we were in India when COVID hit. We were on a trip doing a NoMadness trip. And we were in India when 45 had we literally had just walked through security at the Taj Mahal. When 45 had his whole press conference telling everybody from America to get back home within the next 72 hours. And so it was, we know what it looks like from the other side. And my heart goes out to India. It's a place I travel to literally the most. I've gone annually, and they're just being ravaged by what COVID has done. And, you know, we keep in contact. I actually got hit up on WhatsApp today from somebody that was there. But during that time, we were kind of like figuring out what was happening. And I remember it was an ex of mine actually who hit me up and was like, listen, I'm not trying to put this out there in the air, but if this thing kind of, you know, continues, what are your thoughts for Audacity Fest? Because we were slated to have it in Brooklyn, Industry City, as a matter of fact. We were slated to have it at Industry City in August of 2020. And I was like, you know what? I don't know yet, but we need to put some some thought process behind this. I said, but here's the deal. It has to look like us, it has to sound like us, and it has to feel like us, or else I'm not doing it. Because literally people that are in the travel, like deep in the whole Black travel movement, who have attended the previous Audacity Fest, and our first one was in Oakland, our second one was in Memphis. They were like, yo, this is like the family reunion of all the travel industry events. Like, this is just what it is. And I went into Audacity Festival being tired of being a keynote or a panelist on all of these events. And going into these spaces, and it's just like the white travel industry. You know, I said, I want to create something that's going to flip that entire experience on its head, where we are the forefront. So if you come in, you're a white ally, and you know what it's like to be the minority in this room, okay? And so it was about bringing our resources, our influencers, our communities together to be able to tell our stories, but also be able to, you know, really learn from one another, you know, as you contributed to. And so with that, Audacity Digi came from the COVID pivot. We executed 5 in the last 12 months.
And they were amazing.
The last one was like 2 weeks ago, and I just can't believe we did so many in such a short period of time. And it was a very aggressive and very early pivot when this happened, because we started, our first one was the last week of May 2020. We were in lockdown, what, 2 months? Not even?
Yeah, not even. I mean, I think we needed it, right? So again, we're getting into a lot of your superpower, right? And your mastery. It comes from the love of people. And I just think that's special, because we were sitting at a time where, you know, most of us were isolated, right? We're in our apartments, our homes, right? Our flats, wherever we are, all around the world. but yeah, you have this community that was yearning to get together.
Yes.
And you created an immersion, an experience for them to come together.
Right.
And it felt like I was traveling.
Yes.
It felt like I was in different places as I was listening, right? And you know, we were joking downstairs and talking about the brother that you had shared that was talking about his home that he built out of his van.
Vaughn
right?
Dabney.
Right. And just hearing those
Tiny home
stories, I felt that experience.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It was like he was describing how he was living and moving and traveling around. And that's where I think you describe your business so well because it's you are like a part of this community.
Yeah, I tell people all the time.
That is you. Like, I don't even want to call you an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm a
anymore.
Member of NoMadness as much as I am the leader of it.
Yes, that's beautiful.
And I engage in the conversations. I shoot the shit with them. You know, sometimes I'll start with like, you know, some of the mess just to have a good time with the community too, because we also need it. That first Audacity Digi happened right after the murder of George Floyd. And I remember the way that I opened up the event was we deserve to have a space to be able to honor what has happened, come together to lean on one another for support, but we also deserve joy. Okay? And every single one, we deserve joy. And then having the fifth one, the last one of this year, happen a week after the verdict came in of guilty on all accounts. It was this full circle moment. But again, it was me giving us permission to laugh and smile and have dope playlists that we're blasting from our speakers in our home if we can't go nowhere else, to have these conversations about investing and moving abroad, to have conversations about, you know, Muslim travel and accessibility, which is a demographic that does not get enough attention at all, and they are spending money out here. Like, it was our way to also hand over the floor to other marginalized groups. But what was so great about it, you brought up earlier about providing value, it also created a space for our community to find value because of the information and what we were talking about and informing them about COVID, having panels with doctors, having panels with boards of tourism around the world so that they could self-explain what their opening looked like and what their recovery campaigns were looking like. But it also created an opportunity for our partners and sponsors to still be able to cut that check. Because we were providing a space in which they could still have the relevant conversations. You know what I'm saying? And that was really, I think, what was unique and dope about what we did with Audacity Digi.
And I think that's when I really saw that it's a community, but it's also a lifestyle.
Yes.
Like, it's a way of way of living. So, you know, part of that, you're a self-care person. Right? I watch it online. I can see a bit about it, but talk about your self-care journey rather than process, because I think that's part of your operating model. And I think are there things that you have that are consistent no matter where you travel? Right? It's like you got to work out or you meditate or what are those things for you?
So I am someone who has suffered from severe anxiety at times. Anxiety has been something that has been, I think in retrospect, I've had it the majority of my life, being just a high achiever and somebody who had to learn how to say no and understand that no is a complete sentence.
And an A-type Aries.
Listen,
blah, blah, blah.
like New York, all that shit.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like it all, like, you know, for those that are into astrology, I'm like Aries, Sun, Moon, and Leo rising. It's triple fire. Like how I function on a daily basis is beyond me.
I don't even know what that is.
Yes, but those watching that know, you know. Okay. So with that, anxiety was something that reared its head for me really bad in college. And I'm talking like I was rushed to the hospital for my first panic attack. I was in the hospital behind 2 of them because I thought I was dying. Like I didn't know what it was. My symptoms were extremely prevalent. It was something that ran in the family. I found out that when my mother gave birth to me, I was her trigger because of her past family stuff and her upbringing. This becoming a parent for the first time was kind of like, what the fuck, you know? And so it was something that it's hereditary, it's environmental, it's personal, you know? And so for me, it was, I was a yes woman for a really long time. And I think also the confidence that you brought up earlier comes from me being able to say no and a lot of the coping mechanisms that I had dealing with anxiety and panic attacks.
Wow.
In college, they were really, really bad. I mean, I was having them at one point going into my junior year, like almost daily. And yeah, it was really, really intense. And my mother, I've also been somebody who I gravitate towards, I'm a mix of Western and Eastern medicine. And I think also spending so much time, especially younger in Asia, there was a lot of like Buddhist practices. Like I'm not Catholic, Christian. I've always gravitated more towards like Buddhist practices. I'm more spiritual than I am religious. I'm very much I'm a law of attraction practitioner. I'm very much into these types of, maneuverings in life. This is why me and Dawn click. Yeah. Me and Dawn be on our like weird shit.
A lot of energy.
We can't talk about all our weird shit with everybody, but me and Dawn, shouts out to Dawn Dixon, she gets it.
We're gonna get Dawn on here. We're gonna have Dawn talk about.
Yeah, but it's just like the anxiety was a big part of me I was forced to find out from my body what are the things that I need to do, from coping mechanisms to affirmations to meditation, which I can always do better and more prevalently, all the way to working out. So anxiety in general is just energy. Yeah. Like it's intense energy that needs to be released. And so for me, I tend to gravitate towards like aggressive workouts. I kickboxed 3 times a week for almost 2 years before COVID started, and, kind of took Jamel, my trainer, and now, I do personal training with him at the gym in my building, because I just still don't feel comfortable being in a cardio-based gym.
I don't think I've ever heard it called that, aggressive workouts. I love that.
Yes, but it is. I need aggressive workouts. Like, it's like I did yoga for a little bit, and I was just like, it's cute. But this ain't really hitting the spots that I need to be hit to deal with what I deal with. You know what I'm saying? And so I think for me, it's like I need aggressive workouts. So for me, I started running during COVID. I got the Peloton app and started using their like outdoor running. I
see you out there just sprinting your ass off then. You're running hard as hell.
And I hated running. I really did. I hated running. But it's an aggressive workout. It's a tough workout. Yeah. It's why everybody runs, no matter what you do in sports. Yeah. But for me, what I found during COVID, it was the only sense of freedom that I had. Yeah. The only sense of freedom. When I could go outside and just run and for a little bit dodge folks and like pull that mask down, it was literally the only sense of freedom that I had, and I became like addicted to it. Yeah. And so for the last like 13 months, I've really been on like running. Now I'm into lifting to supplement it. But for me, I need aggressive workouts during this time, especially being single, because I need aggressive workouts. Look. I need aggressive workouts.
That felt like a plug. I don't know who's watching this right now.
Listen, I know I ain't the only one.
We got a hell of a eligible woman over here.
Listen,
very successful. Got herself together. She's got an amazing community. If you can, add some value into this young lady's life, drop a comment.
Right. Drop a comment.
Shoot your shot. Put a DM. Whatever you need. I'm just talking directly in the camera, but, that was a cue.
I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you.
Hey, we trying to solve it all. This is self-mastery. We get it all in. It's part of the balance.
Well-rounded happiness. It is.
There's other ways to get that aggression out.
Yes,
so we understand.
It is. But it is a part of the balance, I think... And when I think about balance and self-care, right, so many people know me as boss, right? Yeah. This boss, because of also, I think, just where they put me in their head too, but what I've accomplished. And so the personal relationships, right, and being like submissive in those safe spaces where I'm taken care of, like that is a part of self-care too. Yeah. That's a part of self-care. And I think, having those places where you can just shatter. Yeah. I mean, literally shatter. Especially as entrepreneurs, sometimes it's just like, where is the big red button? Because I'm done today. Like I'm done. And so having that balance is also extremely important to me. I think as women too, as women entrepreneurs, the level of compromise and negotiation that we go through with our life choices is something that we don't talk about enough. I want to be a mother. I've had baby fever for years. You know what I'm saying? But the negotiation and compromise that you go through, knowing that you've built something so amazing that impacts so many people's lives, that at times you can almost feel swallowed in it. You know, it's like we don't talk enough about what that balance and that negotiation looks like for women that are in the entrepreneurial space. And that is some real shit, Keenan.
Yeah, it is.
That is some real shit. And the choices and the freezing of eggs later on, or the holding off on certain, you know, relationships and not getting pregnant now because it may interfere with this. Like, it's a trip.
Yeah.
It's a trip. And it's something that is very, it's very real for us, you know? And at some point, as women in general, but definitely as women who own their own companies and have created movements, we get to a point where you just have to make a move.
Yeah.
You got to make a move.
Well, I mean, this wasn't expected, but now, you know, I think there's a confidence challenge sometimes within relationships between men and women that I've seen. So, again, you're so confident. So we know that you have to have somebody that has that level of confidence.
Yeah.
Since we're open to candidates here, I would love for you to describe, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
Because and the reason I can ask that, and it doesn't feel off topic, because we're talking about, again, your lifestyle, right? And your relationships are part of it.
Yes.
Right? The friends that you have, who you choose to be with, who you choose to build a family with.
Yeah.
So describe that.
Yeah.
For us. I'm just curious. I'm gonna ask all my other stuff.
Yeah. When I think about my life partner, right? I need somebody who has somebody who's living in their passion and not in that process going for it. I'm too far down my line of knowing who I am and what I'm about to be fostering the beginning phases of anybody's life, right? And that's no shade. Everybody has their own timetable, but I'm too far down the line. I need somebody who knows who they are, you know, and is comfortable and is in that, living in that, in this moment. You know what I'm saying? And that can change over time, and that's cool, but they have a grasp on that at this moment. I'm looking for somebody who is worldly. You do not have to be a world traveler and go out on every trip with me, but I do want a worldly and world-inclined family. Yeah. I want that unit. I want us to be able to bop up. I don't want to talk about getting property in South Africa and you look at me like I got 4 fucking heads. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be able to have that being an open conversation. I want somebody who reveres the idea of freedom. I want somebody who's open to us curating our relationship. There are traditional values that I know are the bedrock of things, but I want to sit down with my partner and be like, what do we want this to look like?
Yo, that is amazing. Like, what you just described. Like, you literally talked about a relationship as another experience that is to be curated. There's such intentionality in that. Your character shines through in so many different ways, and I think I've known you, and I think, you know, from a professional standpoint, right? I've learned so much about you tonight that I just want to thank you for, one, being true to what you say, where you're like, you're an open book. So thank you for pulling up, right, and taking time out of your schedule and come and sharing a lot of this, because some I probably wasn't supposed to ask. So thank you for allowing me to ask the relationship question. But I just think that is so cool, and I think you've addressed part of your mastery, which is this deep love of people and experiences. Yeah. And the experiences are really generated or created by the people. Yes. Right? And by the community. And that's so much of your business model. That's so much of just you.
It's my life.
It's all of your being. And so, one, I thank you for sharing that. And I think for me, what I have to do, and this is something we always do, is I have to give the last word to you. So it is, you've shared a ton, right? There's a lot of lessons, a lot of gems. We're gonna have to put some animations and shit all on things that we're saying. We're gonna put your phone number in like a ticker that will go across. But please give us the last words, right? What else do you want to share about your journey on self-mastery? Because it's continuous, right? You've only just begun. You got so much more. There's so much more that I know that you want to experience and that you will experience. And I think from a business from a personal standpoint, that I'm excited, and hopefully I get the invite, to the next event, at the house. I don't know. I want to fill out the envelope in my card. But what's the last word?
The last word is let go of this idea of perfection. Understand that we're all just figuring this shit out. And we're all in process. Whew. We are constantly in process. I think as I've created friendships, like, yes, there's network, but as I've created friendships with the likes of you and others that we also have in common, and it's just like, I realize at the end of the day, even with my friends who are gajillionaires, we all just figuring this shit out.
Absolutely.
And when you actually there's a sense of like relief and release that comes from that. And there's a sense of humanity that pops up when we realize that we are all just figuring it out. So this perfection, this timetable, be it self or society imposed, who cares? Who cares? And it's okay to not have all the answers right now. I don't have all the answers right now. But allow the process to do what the process needs to do. And so for me, I would say be and allow and let go of this idea of perfection. There is no such thing. There is just process.
And that is why you had the final word. Evita, thank you.
Thank you
so much. I'm so excited to follow. We'll put all your info on here, but that was beautiful.
Thank you.
That was a perfect way to end it.
Thank you.
I mean, damn.
We got claps.
No.
We got claps.
I mean, no fake claps. Those are real claps.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.